one of the things I would say here as well is that I think it's really important for us to have a bit of an immigrant mentality when it comes to work. Now, obviously, there's some really good things about immigrants, and there's some things which are not so great, right? So for me, like one of the things I would have as a mentality is that, look, immigrants have to work harder than the rest, right? They feel very grateful for work that they get. Like they're so happy that they actually got a job, right? And I would say, like, for me, like, you know, I know nowadays people are like, oh yeah, I want to do something I'm passionate about. I want to do a job I like and this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's good. But for me, before that, I really feel that the mindset was more like, I'm an immigrant. I need to like actually do something amazing. I need to work hard. So for me, like when I went in deep. Like even though at the end of the day it was like photocopiers, right? Multifunctional devices that we're selling. I decided to go deep to the point where people would say to me, like, because the logo for Xerox was red, was X, right? Red X, right? And so they were like, if you were to cut Mohammad, he would bleed red X's. Like that's what they would say, right? Because like I was so behind the company, like I believed that, you know, in what I was doing. Like if someone said, you know, the Canon or the HP photocopy is better, I'm like, no, it's not better because Xerox. Why? Because I actually had to sell. And so for me, if I'm going to sell something, I have to believe in it, right? So for me, I really went all in. And I think this is the big advice I would give to anyone, like, especially new people going to a job, that if you sit there and you start looking for things that are not right, things that are not good, things are not the way that I want them to be, you're missing it. You're missing the actual opportunity. The opportunity that you have is to go in there and give it everything. And you know what? This is the secret to never losing. If you give 100%, you can never ever lose, right? Even if you get fired, even if it doesn't work out, whatever, if you give 100%, you cannot lose, right? And so for me, I went in with that immigrant mentality and I was like, right, you know what I need to do? I need to be the first one in the office. You know what? I need to be the last one in the office. I need to work really hard. And so literally for those first 3-4 months, I gave it everything. And one of the interesting things you'll find about workplaces is that you kind of live off your reputation. So those first 3-4 months that I did of solid work, I'm talking like being there first, trying to do extra work, do whatever I could, like that played out for the next 4-5 years while I was at that company, because they just had this initial perception that this guy is a hard worker. He's there. He does whatever it takes and stuff, you know? So for me, it's like, look, go in like you're an immigrant, work harder than anybody else. And, you know, it's like they say, like, you know, be so good that they can't ignore you. And I think that's the kind of mentality, because we as Muslims, like, you know, as a young Muslim, I was like in identity crisis as who am I? What am I about? I remember, I don't really say this publicly, but if you ask me as a 17-year-old, what do I think like I want to look like? I would have said like one of those kind of baseball caps and a bit of a goatee and an earring, kind of like Ice Cube style. And like, that's my identity. But I was like, why the hell is that my identity? Like if I look at my tradition and me as a Muslim, like we are like there to excel, you know? So we have this great identity as Muslims. And I feel that for me, like a big thing was about reconnecting to that identity. Like, you know, there's young stories about people who are 17 years old who are leading armies and given responsibility and all these kind of things. So our tradition is full of young people doing amazing things. But you as the young person, you have to set that as your standard. If you set your standard as I'm going to go into the workplace and keep my head down, I'm going to duck and dive, I'm going to earn my money till this much, I'm going to live on the weekends, and then you're going to lose, right? But if you go in with that mindset of I'm a Muslim, I have high standards and I'm going to smash this to pieces, I'm going to be better than anyone else, it's going to be a very different experience for you.
And is that how you kind of, I guess, dealt with those kind of early setbacks and challenges? With that kind of mentality?
That's exactly what I did. I said to myself, right, I'm going to work really, really hard. You know, I'm going in at a deficit. Like I don't have white privilege, as they say, right? So I'm going in as a deficit. I need to be better than anyone else and I need to go all out. But at the same time, alongside that, I'm going to go all out. And of course I was lucky because I came out with a first. I did very well in education. I'm like, this can't be so different, right? But I remember there was one incident where, you know, as a salesperson in the company, you always got paired up with someone else, like who was a senior, right? So what happened is, like, when you're new, everyone's asking each other, who did you get paired up with? And so everyone's talking about who they got paired up with. And they asked me, who did you get paired up with, Mo? And I said, I got paired up with Alexis. And they're like, Alexis? I said, yeah. They're like, oh my God. Do you know like what he's like? And I'm like, no, I don't know what he's like at all. And then they started telling me all these horror stories about him, and he's this and he's that, and he's like, because he was like a superstar salesperson. You know, he's someone who can do whatever he wants. He treats people like this and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, I sat back and I thought, you know what? How do I deal with a person like this? Right? This is what they're saying he's like. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go in with full humility, right? So the first ever meeting I went into there, I said, you know what, Alexis, I've heard so many things about you. I heard this. But one thing I know is that you're like an amazing salesperson, yeah? So I'm here to learn from you. I am here to do whatever you need me to do. So I went like full humility, right?
Yeah.
And bro, can I tell you, like, we never ever had any issues. In fact, I feel like he treated me better than anyone else all the time. You know, amazing guy. That's what my experience of him was, you know? So I just feel like although you're going to be confident, you got to come with that humility. You got to come with that beginner's mindset, right? You got to know that you are bottom of the ladder. Do not fool yourself into thinking, oh yeah, I'm something special. No, you can be special. You can do special things, but you're not special. If you want to be special in a workplace, you have to prove yourself.
And I liked how you took that initiative to reach out to him and, you know, kind of put it on the level. And I think there's a tip in there that, you know, when you do go into the workplace, maybe find those kind of individuals that are performing really well. And because I think when you go to someone and ask them for their advice, there's a thing where they just buy into you, where, you know, this guy's coming to me for advice, yes. This young guy, and he knows that, he recognizes that my talent and my potential, my hard work. So, you know, because he's coming to me, asking me for my advice sincerely, I'm going to buy into him. I want him to do well because I'm kind of giving him the advice.
Exactly. I'm invested in him.
Yeah, I'm invested in him. I want to help him because he's come to me, and it's just I'm not sure what it is. It's like a nurturing maybe thing in the human nature. Yeah. That when you see that young person that comes to you and they ask for your advice, and you just want to really buy in. And I guess all this kind of ties into Muslim mastery, the mindset, how we're approaching things, which I think why I wanted you in here early as one of the kind of first few episodes was for people to really, before they even view careers or before they even think about the actual insight into careers, they think about how are they viewing it.